My name is Tara Stewart, and in 2014 I fell off a horse and broke my neck at C6-7, and I bent my spinal cord into an S shape, so that was the bit that paralysed me from the chest down.
She was always a happy kid, very funny, probably best described as an absolute hoot. Tara would be seen regularly galloping around, neighing noises and talking to a horse that was totally mythical.
I had a horse who had a back injury, but I thought that I would take him for a bit of a canter up a very steep hill that's behind our house, just to stretch his legs out. So I got off his back was sore, stood up, leant forward, and he just exploded bucking when I asked him to canter, and because I was already up out of the saddle, I just came off the side. I hit the ground, I had my neck snap. It was a pretty loud crack, so I realised exactly what I'd done because I was paralysed straight away from about here down. I obviously couldn't move, I was lying on the ground, and I thought the horse had galloped off. But he actually stayed with me, grazing with me, which is just as well, because I was in a field, in a dip, and you wouldn't be able to see me if you come into the field. I couldn't really call out for help because my lungs were partially paralysed. I was on the ground for about 5.5 hours, and it was because of him that I was found.
By the time I saw Tara, she was in traction. She was in bed and she had this enormous weight tied to the back of her head to straighten out the spinal column.
Yeah, I remember them when they attach the thing that they put around your head. They literally hang weights, they sort of fix something to your head. It's quite medieval.
That was kind of the most shocking piece when I actually saw her there, and this thing was real. This wasn't just something I'd read on a text message, and it was, I guess it was as bad as I had feared.
And then they operated on me first thing in the morning, and it was an 8-hour operation. When I broke my neck, I dislocated 13 vertebrae, sort of around that break in total. So they had to go in through the back and I was a bit like a broken jigsaw. They had to sort of put me back together again.
There was a very good chance that just at that sort of initial stage that she might not make it, but she slowly, sort of got stronger, as I say, to the extent that she could start talking.
Probably 3 weeks between the accident and when she could first actually make a sentence. And it was one of the first things she said.
Yeah, I told him that he could leave if he wanted to, that he didn't have to be stuck with me. We've been married for about 18 months when I had the accident. When you do your vows and you say, in sickness and health and all the rest of it, you don't really expect your other half to turn themselves into a pair of shoulders and a head, a few years down the line.
And it never occurred to me, it was just, no, we're together, it's you and me. This terrible thing's happened to us, and it's all about how we deal with it now, not this happened to you and you're going to have to figure it out. It's just, no, I told her that we're together, we're a team, and that's that. You're stuck with me too.
He said, we're a team, I'm not going anywhere. Which is very foolish of him, really.
Yeah, she's exactly the same. She has a sense of humour.
I mean, I'm really, really lucky. My family and friends have all been amazing.
Okay.
We've always been a very practical family.
Thanks, Dad.
There we are.
It was just like, okay, so this has happened, so how are we going to deal with it?
I take it as part of life. Life's for living, to get the most out of, really, and to be happy if you can be. Okay, the road gets bumpy sometimes, but that doesn't mean to have to say you go around moaning all the time.
I always understood that life isn't fair, but I did encounter somebody who told me it was karma that I broke my neck, but I refute that. I always say it's gravity, not karma. I didn't think it happened because I deserved it or there was some sort of retribution for anything. It's just one of those things.
You can go in a Christmas exhibition.
Yeah, I can go in Christmas exhibition. Everything's going in Christmas exhibition.
Anything can go in a Christmas exhibition. Yeah.
People have accidents and stuff happens to people in life all the time, whether they deserve it or not, and you just have to make the best of whatever you have.
Yeah, it's all right.
At different times during this injury, I've been told that I'm a hopeless case.
It was almost brutal, really. The hospital wanted to get this message across. There's no hope of her walking or anything else like that.
Spinal cord injuries are massively complicated and nobody can ever be really sure of the prognosis. So, there were people that I was in hospital with that were told that they would never walk again and left walking on crutches, and other people that were told that they should make a good recovery and didn't. Whilst I understand that people don't want to give false hope, I think you need to walk a line between going, look, this is a really serious injury, the prognosis isn't good, you know, things are happening, changes are being made, research is happening. It's really important for your skin and for your general overall health and mental well-being that you do as much activity as you can and that you keep yourself as strong as you can. But I think to turn around and say, this one has no hope of recovery, or you will never walk again, or A, it's not true, and B, it's not helpful.
Wait.
Yeah, I've seen her recover. She's gone from being a body in a bed with tubes stuck in all sorts of directions to being fiercely independent again. She's fought back, she works so hard to get her strength, to get her ability to do things with her hands, back to driving. I'm extremely proud of her. She's been brilliant.
I'm taking part in a clinical trial. I stay down there Tuesday and Wednesday night and then come back Thursday, so it's about a 5-hour drive. No one person has the same injury. The spinal cord's incredibly complicated, we're talking about billions of nerves. Everybody will respond differently to the therapy. I'm on session 48 of 120. I've had an increase in sensation and my sensitivity on that jumped by about 50%. So yes, there's definitely hope.
Go on, push, 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 push. Hips forward.
I'm probably a little bit stronger in my torso than I was. 40% more mobility would transform my life. I mean, it really would.
Everyone's good.
People just don't think about the fact that if you don't have any torso, you can't even lean forward.
Ready, steady, go. Yeah.
So, you know, when you go to open a door, I've got to prop myself up on my knee and lean forward.
Keep hands on knees for me.
If this hand slips, I just fall on my face. I was very independent before my accident. I don't like asking for help. I find it really irritating.
Yeah, fantastic. Forward again. That's it, I got you.
But there have been really bad days. I've been lots of shouting, waving my arms around as far as I can, wave them around, and lots of tears.
You can't reach that thing up there, you can't go through that door, you know, there's all these small things which you're not able to do, and then fundamentally you can't do the things she loved doing, which was striding out with the dogs or riding her horse. I could tell that she missed that. My role, if you like, was to try and be humorous about it, because we dealt better with each other when we laughed at each other or didn't take the whole thing too seriously. I know it is a hugely serious thing, but just realise that there's still lots we can do.
If you turn your face towards the sun, the shadows will fall behind you. You could either be miserable and unhappy for the rest of your life. You could decide to be happy. The reason why I call people to support spinal cord injury, because it can happen to anybody. Every 24 hours in the UK, 6 people get paralysed. I think only 12% of spinal injuries are caused by sporting accidents. You're far more likely to break your neck or your back in a fall or a car accident. People should donate towards spinal research and finding a cure, because it is possible to find a cure.